In this video, we're going to discuss how to start a staffing agency. Hey, what's up YouTube? It's Natasha, the business recruiter. Welcome back to my channel. So when it comes to getting in the recruiting industry, it's important to understand that there's a couple different directions that you can go. And while I will always be an advocate for you starting out with really focusing on recruiting or direct placement, another avenue that you can take that is just as lucrative is starting a staffing agency. Now you're probably wondering, what are the biggest differences between a recruiting agency and a staffing agency? Well, it really comes down to the type of placements that you're making, but ultimately all of the steps that are associated with getting each of these off of the ground. For example, on the recruiting agency or direct placement side, this is really focused on permanent placements. This means that you're recruiting for individuals who are going to be in those roles for the long run, or at least that's the hope. However, on the staffing agency side, these are really focused on temporary roles. Those temporary roles can be anywhere from a couple weeks to a couple months, if not maybe at the longest a few years. The important thing to understand about the staffing side is that at some point that role is going to end, or that contract is going to end, meaning that those individuals who are placed into roles on the staffing side ultimately understand that that position is not there for forever. Now, when it comes to you being able to get a staffing agency off of the ground, you're going to follow some of the very same steps as getting a recruiting agency off of the ground. That first step being establishing your business entity. You want to make sure that you're a legitimate business from the very beginning, and this means creating your LLC, corporation, or partnership in terms of how you want to go about establishing that business entity. This also gives you the opportunity to go through all of the legal requirements that are going to be associated with you legitimizing your business. Now from there, the next step is for you to get the appropriate insurance. And while you still will be required to get general liability insurance, as well as errors and omissions insurance, you're also going to be required to get some additional insurance. The reason being is with a staffing agency, you are actually taking on these individuals as employees of your company and technically hiring them out to then other companies to leverage. So you're sort of serving as this third party or this middleman or woman in regards to the process. And with that being stated, anytime that you have any employees, there's going to be additional things that you're going to need to do. And that's included on the insurance side. For example, you're going to need workers' compensation insurance just in case one of your employees gets hurt while they're on the job working for one of your clients. Now, the next piece that you're going to want to do, because again, we've already established that you're going to have these individuals as employees of your company, is you're going to need to be able to process payroll. Because these are employees of your organization, you're going to be the one that's going to be able to write their check, meaning that you have to have some sort of payroll processing system that's in place. And there's a ton of them that are out there, so there's definitely options available for you. You want to make sure that you pick the appropriate option for what your needs are. Now, if you're enjoying this video so far, then be sure to go down below and hit that subscribe button as well as that bell so that you can get notified of all of my videos that do drop weekly. Now, moving on to your contract, you're going to want to make sure that you actually have all of your contracts together before you start reaching out to prospective clients. And the reason being is just because it's going to make your life a lot easier. It's one less thing that you have to think about when you're actually reaching out to clients because you already have your contract templates that are in place. And if you're looking for a contract template, then I'm going to go ahead and leave the link down below for you to get my free contract template that I offer to everyone. Your contract is going to be extremely important because ultimately it's going to talk about a lot of the things that are associated with how you ultimately will get paid from your client. It's going to be a very similar process to the recruiting agency side, but on the staffing agency side, it's important to understand there might be some nuances. Again, these are employees that are going to be attached to your organization, so you're going to have to pay them either on a weekly, bi-weekly, or maybe even monthly basis. You want to make sure that you have payment terms that are going to help you as well as your client to be able to cover that. Now, the next thing that you can do once you finally have all of your contracts together are to reach out to prospective clients. And that process is going to look very similar on the recruiting agency side as well, meaning that you're still going to be going through cold emailing, you're still going to be going through cold calling, you're still going to be leveraging referrals in order to get prospective clients. Those processes haven't changed. ultimately what has changed is the type of roles that maybe you're going to be targeting, meaning you're not targeting those positions that are going to be permanent. You're not looking to fill full-time employees. So maybe you're actually reaching out to a different set of clients who ultimately have short-term or contract roles that are available. This is where you can come in and ultimately add value to be able to find candidates who can ultimately fill those requisitions for those short-term roles with your client. Now, I know that those are just a few steps that are associated with you being able to start a staffing agency. And part of the reason that I always encourage that you start on the direct placement side is because of the capital that's required up front. Starting a staffing agency is not an easy feat, and neither is it cheap. You have to make sure that you actually have the funds available to be able to pay those individuals or those employees who are going to be underneath your organization. This means that you're in a position where you're actually going to probably need a couple $100,000 in order to be successful, especially if you plan on doing it at scale. Now, there are options that are out there if you don't have that type of capital available, with one of those options being back offices. And basically, back offices take on all of the responsibilities that are associated with the payroll side, as well as even sometimes the insurance side of you being able to start a staffing agency. This ultimately creates an opportunity for you to be able to start a staffing agency without necessarily having everything in place in order to get it off of the ground. Well, I hope that you found this video to be helpful. If you did, then be sure to give me a thumbs up, as well as if you are not in my Facebook group, then I have no idea what you're waiting for, because we are in there talking all things recruiting. I'll be sure to leave that link down below in the description box. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.